Well, how are we doing? Today's question comes in from Jack. Jack's a really interesting question here. Now, I'm going to read it out. So, we're due to have our first baby any minute, was due on Sunday. So I have a few months off from work, I have grand plans to get fit, and I'm curious as to the reality of having a newborn and trying to get fit. Obviously very different for men and women, and very different for all, as each baby and circumstance is different. You're not wrong there, kid. I'll have more time as not working, but assuming a lot less sleep, a significant emotional load, and from the life change. So it's interesting to see what reality unfolds. Great question, Jack. My eldest is 15, but 15 years ago I remember like it was yesterday. Funny story, my eldest is actually the same age as Wild Geese Fitness. It was in embryonic stage when he was born, and it was actually him being born that was the motivation for turning what was Wild Geese Martial Arts into a full-time studio, and out of that growing Wild Geese Fitness Training. And Wild Geese Fitness Training is 15 years old, as my son is 15 years old. Wild Geese Martial Arts is a couple of years older. But yeah, what a rush, what a journey it's been. And over the 15 years, of course, many members have had their first and second children. There's one child that is a Wild Geese baby. The parents actually met in Wild Geese, that's pretty cool. That's a bit of a legacy, isn't it? So Jack, you're right, dude. Sleep and emotional load. Up on your feet. Oh yeah, that's all right. The sleep and the emotional load. Not enough for one, too much of the other. You're gonna be tired. That's just the reality of it. And different people handle being tired differently. Again, my story, I used to work in the hotel trade, and I've been a doorman and travelled an awful lot. Being tired is absolutely nothing new to me. Long hours in the hotel trade, open-ended shifts, working till silly o'clock in the morning, and then spending every off hour in daylight out in the hills because you live in the Lake District. Pretty much tired all the time. Being a doorman, working bars, late nights were my thing. And because of that, we were able to split up our workload between me and the wife somewhat fairly. She's a morning person, I'm a night owl. We could split the day according to our strengths. What does that mean in terms of training of fitness? Now, you say you're not working, you can have more time, and yeah, you need to take opportunity of that. Well, need to. It's a great opportunity to take advantage of that. You're not going to be sleeping too well, and sleep is where you recover. Right now, if you go through social media, you're going to be told recovery is get up at 5 in the morning, have an ice bath and a sauna, and do this and do that and do the other and do the other. What isn't talked about as much is the value of simply getting a good night's sleep. Probably because that's really hard to sell, unless you're in the mattress market, and there are high-tech semi mattresses now being produced and sold on. I don't have any value in them, I really don't. My bias would like to say there isn't. And my bias is, we're animals. We're fucking animals. We should be adaptable. We can sleep pretty much anywhere on anything, assuming the body's in pretty good nick. Now, so why is sleep the thing? The thing. I've used a little catchphrase for years about recovery, and it's calories and counting sheep. You want to recover well and maintain your training, not just maintain your training, but actually move forward in training. You need to dial in calories and counting sheep. Calories is obviously the food you're eating, good quality real food. Counting sheep, well, that's your sleep. All right. There is, I'm reading a book on this, and it was really nice. I forget the author. It wasn't Matt Walker. It was one of the other guys. And I have a sneeze coming. Excuse me. Matt Walker. No, it wasn't Matt Walker. Sorry. Give me a sec. So I forget who it was. This book, and he talks about sleep goes in 90-minute cycles. Average 90 minutes. Some are a little shorter, some a little longer, but average out 90 minutes. I like that. Why I like that is because it kind of falls in line with something I discovered myself in the hotel days and when I was travelling. And there are weird numbers where if I sleep this long, I get up and I go. If I sleep just a bit less or a bit more, you're groggy and you're horrible and you just can't get things moving. Mine was 4 hours. If I slept 4 hours, I could get up and rock it. I was away. You know what I mean? But 3 hours, 5 hours didn't seem to work for me. Or it didn't work as well. So 90-minute sleep, 90-minute sleep cycle where you go through your rapid eye movement and your deep sleep and everything else, and I forget the actual stages, it's not my expertise. But we should be getting 5 or 6 of those cycles in a night, in a 24-hour window, right, 7 to 9 hours sleep. If we get less than that, 6 hours or so, frequently, once or twice is fine, but with frequency you start to feel the effects. Like you're going downhill pretty fast. And if you get more than that to them, it can still, same thing, you can start going downhill pretty fast. How much you as an individual need, again, depends on you. My needs are different to my wife's needs, or different to your needs, different to the next person's needs. And yeah, we all fall within a bracket, but someone on this side of the bracket and someone on this side of the bracket. And of course everything in between. So there is an idea of biphasic sleep, and I've been talking to a few guys about this recently. There's a few guys I've been chatting to who find themselves waking up in the night and they're concerned. They think it's a problem. And I'm not saying it isn't, but it doesn't have to be. Biphasic sleep is basically sleeping in 2 phases. Bi meaning 2, phasic, phases, 2 phases. And again, they'll average out somewhere around the 4-hour mark. Sleep a bit, wake up for a bit, sleep a bit. Great. No harm has been observed in, we'll say, in the wild, tribal cultures and that. People actually living wild, rather than us over-civilized types. And is biphasic sleep optimal? Don't know. Is it an idea to keep in your head that it's okay? Absolutely. If you sleep and you're getting your, what do we say, your 5 or 6 90-minute cycles, you're probably going to be alright. You've got a baby, you've got basically the first year where they're up in the night for feeds, and then if they're anything like my two, they lull you into a false sense of security. You get a couple of good nights sleep, and then they're up in the night because they're thieving. You know, you just have to roll with it. So, how much can you spread these 90-minute blocks out during the day? I think as long as you're getting enough of them, you can probably spread them out to the max. Again, not optimal, but if you get a 2-3 hour sleep here, and then you're up for a bit, and you get another 2-3 hour sleep there, and then you're up for a bit, and you get another hour or two there. If you can make that work, make it work. Napping is a superpower. Here's where people go wrong with napping. They think it's going to sleep. Napping has got very little to do with actually sleeping. Napping is the act of falling asleep. And there's a switch in brainwave activity. Do I have this written down because I always get this wrong? No, I don't. I really should prepare better for this stuff, shouldn't I? The brainwaves change as you go to sleep. It's actually the same change in brainwave activity that's been observed in meditation when somebody who's skilled in meditation has had brain scans done, and you get that same change, which is a fascinating thing. So could meditation help? Quite possibly. Napping, you don't want to fall into the deep sleep. If you drift off, you should just be below the surface of waking. Yeah. Find somewhere you can be fairly comfortable, somewhere you can put your feet up, like you might just be sitting back in your chair, feet on the desk. You might be lying down in your bed or on a sofa, but again, try and prop your feet up if you can, just for blood flow's sake. And just let yourself relax. I often set a timer, usually about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. It's been as short as 10 minutes. And I just sit and I just let the world drift away until the alarm goes off, and then you're up and you're away. And yeah, it's refreshing. Caffeine can be useful. I have a cup of tea here, but I'm thinking more along the lines of a nice strong coffee, because caffeine doesn't affect you instantly. Caffeine actually takes about 20 minutes to really get into the system, so you can set yourself up for the nap. Drink a nice strong coffee, an espresso or something. Settle yourself down, and you'll drift. But as you're drifting, that caffeine will start to kick in the system, and it'll bring you back to the surface. And that's a nice little way of doing it. Done that plenty of times myself. Lovely. It's actually more pleasant than the buzzer going off. So training. One piece of advice I gave all new parents working with them, and it's simply train for maintenance, not progress. That means if you've got, I don't know, 150 kilo deadlift, don't look to try and improve that, just look to try and maintain that strength. If you can do, I don't know, 25 push-ups, good quality push-ups, don't look to do 26 or 28, just simply don't lose the 25 you've got. If you can run a sub 60-minute 10k, don't look to make it faster, just don't allow it to get any slower. And this becomes this idea of minimum standards. Big fan of minimum standards. Minimum standard, where did minimum standards grow out of? I think it was working mostly with competitive guys and this idea of semi-consistent, sort of randomized training. I'm not going to say CrossFit, but sort of idea of varied training. And most of my training over the years has been quite varied because I've been outdoors and martial arts and seasonal and traveling and whatever else. So having a set of minimum standards is really good, where you know you can do a little test. So can I do, well, we said 25 push-ups earlier on, which isn't a massive amount, I'll grant you, but we're talking minimum standards. So right now, can I get on the floor and do 25 high quality push-ups? Could I do them first thing in the morning? Could I do them last thing at night? Could I do them at the end of a workout? Could I do them at any given moment? And if the answer is yes, then yeah, that is a minimum standard. Maximums, PRs, can only really be done in PR settings. You need to be on for that. But a minimum standard should exist at any given time. And that's a true test. That's a true standard. Back on the doors, it could be 2:30 in the morning. You might not have eaten that well during the day, or you might be training hard. You've set a PR in the gym, or you've been out for a massive run, and now you've just spent 4 hours stood out in the wind and the rain on the door, arguing with people and whatever else has gone on, and then all of a sudden a shout goes out. You've got to get upstairs, break up half a dozen people fighting, and physically drag people out onto the street and whatever else. Right? You're not warmed up. You've stood out in the cold. You're not fresh. You're not in a PR state of being. You're not well warmed up. You're not in a foam roll. You just have to fucking go. That is why minimum standards are important. Because if your minimum standards are here, then you're able to operate. If your minimum standards don't exist, if you fall below those minimum standards, you're no longer operational. You're no longer useful. I'm not interested in PRs. PRs are great, right? PRs come and go. Minimum standards should always be there. How you judge them for yourself is based on you, your abilities, what's important to you. I love lifting kettlebells, so the old RKC test, the 5 minutes, 100 reps of 24 kilo snatch in 5 minutes, I love that as a standard. Yeah. A couple of years ago, I tested it and I failed. I was like, oh, Dave, I was really disappointed with myself. I had a word, and I realised how out of shape I was, how much I let the injuries go. I think I hurt my ankle at the time, but the shoulder, I had chronic injuries in the shoulder. They were bound up tight. I could barely lock it out on that arm. The cardio got me to shit. It was just, I failed that standard. So from that day, I reviewed and trained. I've never failed it since. And that's the way it should be. That's why these things are important. If, what do we say, the 10k run, sub 60 minute 10k run, it's not a fast time. That's not a PR time. It's a minimums time. If your best time for a 10k is 45 minutes, then an hour as a minimum is not a big ask. So could you, right now, put your runners on, step out of that door, and run a 10k in that time? If you can say with no shadow of a doubt, yes I can, then that's a minimum standard. If that's a minimum standard you like to keep because it shows a good level of cardiovascular fitness and whatever else, probably shows you've not been eating all the pies, then go for it. You might have a speed standard. So what's your 20 meter sprint time? What's this time? What's that? And in this period of your children are very, very young, it really works to keep this idea in your head. It really works as a general sort of training idea as well. You know, winter time, train indoors, lift heavy, build strength, etc. Summertime, get outdoors, whatever else. But what you've built in the winter should maybe raise your minimum standard a little bit. So all your new PRs that you hit over the winter, excuse me, rubbing my eyes here, all those PRs and the stuff, the strength you build in the gym over the winter time, well, that is to make sure that next winter you're not starting from scratch again. There should be a minimum standard that you keep. You can check over the summer when you're doing your more outdoor stuff. What's a good way of testing the strength, training strength? Rule of 10. There's this lovely rule of 10. Yeah, well, that's everything in the newsletter there. This rule of 10 is something I, like a lot of things, I stole from Dan John. You're not following Dan John. Why not? The rule of 10, you've got 10 good reps. 10 good reps. I use this a lot myself. This is more strength based, right? You've got 10 good reps, so your deadlift. Once you get above a certain percentage, you're probably going to get 10 reps and that's it. Now it could be 10 singles, it could be 5 sets of 2, 3 sets of 3, 2 sets of 5, doesn't really matter. 10 good reps, and that's probably where you're going to get 80% of the results. So a really simple way of training strength. It's not going to cause you a lot of fatigue, it's not going to feel particularly difficult, is to simply pick 3 to 5 exercises and get 10 good reps a couple of times a week. Yeah? Monday, military press, squat, bent over row, 2 sets of 5 on each. Wednesday, deadlift, 1 arm press, pull up, 3 sets of 3 on each. Friday, what have we missed? Let's do split squats. Let's do a floor press. And let's do renegade rolls. Okay. 3 exercises, roughly 10 reps of each, 2 sets of 5, 3 sets of 3, whatever. And you can vary. Obviously if you're doing 5 sets of 2, you're probably going to go a little bit heavier than you would if you're doing 2 sets of 5. That's alright. That's alright. Point is, you're not going to be burnt out. Point is, you're not going to need to take an age to warm up. And the point is, if you're already tired because of lack of sleep, it's okay. You're still going to be maintaining your minimum standards. And then when the wee one starts sleeping and you start feeling more human again, well then we can start pushing the envelope a little bit more. Alrighty? Pretty much everything we've talked about, having a young kid is almost like an athlete in season. In season, the sport is your baby, and a lot of your energy and your focus goes on to making sure you're performing in that sport. So, yeah, parallels. Great question. Really good question. Now, yeah, hit that like and subscribe and all that nonsense. But more importantly, let's have your questions. All these questions are coming in from my community, through my newsletter, through conversations I'm having with clients. But I'm opening that out to you lot in YouTube land. Buy them in. Nice to have a discussion. Alrighty, till next time. Have fun.